This week, we have a very special episode of Conversion Cast for you with not just one, but two new and noteworthy guests sitting down for a fantastic fireside chat. The chairman of the board for Leadpages and Drip, Clay Collins, talked with our just announced newest member of the board, David Cancel, the CEO at Drift. They discussed the big news of David joining our board, along with some insights into the future of Leadpages and Drip, best practices for growing companies, both ours and yours. And there's a whole lot more. So without any further ado, I'm really excited to turn over this episode of Conversion Cast to David and Clay.
All right, so I'm sitting here with David Cancel.
That's right.
AKA DC.
What's up?
AKA Uncle DC. Which any other nicknames?
No, that's it.
That's it.
Uncle DC. The Uncle DC, and that's it.
What does your wife call you?
DC.
Just DC. Okay. Good to know.
So does my daughter. Yeah.
So some awesome news. David Cancel has joined our board. David, I think you're the best product guy in MarTech. I really do.
That's huge, man. Thank you.
I've been working on you for a long time. I don't know if you've seen the funnel.
Long time.
The funnel?
No. How was it?
So, here's the funnel. So,
okay.
So I heard you on Mixergy.
Okay.
Talking about your experience at HubSpot.
Yeah.
And have you ever heard of this book, One Sentence Persuasion?
Nope.
It's by Blair Warren. I'll read you like the
Yeah,
summary,
please.
all right? It says, people will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them throw rocks at their enemies.
Yes.
Okay, so you were on Mixergy, and I was like picking up what you were throwing down. I was like, this guy is my champion.
Yeah, he's throwing some rocks.
Yeah, he's throwing rocks.
Yeah.
He's stirring up.
Yeah.
Right, so everything you were saying, I was like, he has to come.
Yeah.
Speak at Leadpages.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
I did.
So you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was trying to figure out, because I knew you were busy.
Yeah.
You're in Boston. Everyone wants to talk to you. Hard man to get to. I was like, all right, so I'm an entrepreneur. David's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
We're both in SaaS. How can I get this guy to come out here? I was like, I could offer him a speaking fee.
Yeah.
Or ARR.
Yes.
Right?
You knew you nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
So I was like, all right, if you come speak to us, and I knew we needed Drift anyway,
Yeah.
right? So David is the CEO of Drift. I was like, we can offer you this much in ARR.
Yeah.
And you wrote back and you were like, you had me at ARR.
Totally. And I never respond to anybody. I'm the worst in email, but you just nailed it.
Awesome.
That one sentence persuasion, I need that book.
I'll send this to you. We'll link it up in the show notes.
Awesome.
So yeah, you came and spoke to Leadpages, rocked our world.
Yeah.
Rocked our world. Huge changes in engineering and product came after that.
Devastation.
Gnashing of teeth.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it turned out really well. So
Cool.
yeah. So heard you on Mixergy, asked you to come here, became a customer, and then when you came, we had dinner after you spoke.
Yep.
Asked you to be an advisor.
Yep.
Had some drinks in you. I believe you said yes.
Yes, I did say yes. Yeah. It was amazing. You had this nailed. I don't know how long you were working on this funnel, but it was perfect.
Well, okay, so my wife just had, we just had children.
Yeah.
And I remember a few weeks before I met you, I had written this list of things where it's like, if I ever were going to leave the CEO post at Leadpages, I needed three things.
Okay.
Okay. I need to acquire Drip.
Yeah.
John Tedesco needs to be our
Yeah.
CEO.
Yeah.
David Cancel needs to be on our board.
Wow, you manifested everything.
I was playing the long game.
That's amazing. I need to write a list of 3 like this. Yeah, I'm not in that list. That's amazing.
That's why you just, stay in seat. So anyway, I really appreciate you joining our board. Other than the fantastic marketing funnel we set up, why'd you say yes? You're a busy person again.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can do.
Tons of stuff to do. I think definitely there was an awesome connection with you, in the beginning. And when I got here, I kind of saw, so I came here, I gave a talk within the company. I also spoke at Center, which is, Converted.
Yep.
Converted. Converted. And then I got to see your customer base at the conference, and that was actually the light bulb moment for me, because it felt like genuinely had these people that were like super passionate about Leadpages and about what you had created for them and fulfilled with them, and that kind of felt to me like the early days at when I joined HubSpot. right? And so I saw a lot of that stuff, and I felt like, oh, I think the thing that when you're trying to apply to when you're trying to get someone involved in something like a board seat or an advisor or something like that, it's just like you want to figure out someone that they're basically replaying something that they did before, right? And this is their chance to do it better, right? Yeah. So they've seen some part of the movie, and you're giving them the opportunity to like fix some of those mistakes. And so I think that is, I saw some of the same stuff that we saw at HubSpot, and I thought that was not normal. Yeah. And so I was excited to join and try to figure out how we build this thing, take it to the next level.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think another thing that I detect from you in this is like there's that, and we're all in this. We're all capitalists and stuff. Yeah. We want to make money. Our customers want to make money. Yep. But also, I think you and I view entrepreneurship as a way of kind of giving back to the world.
Yes. Yeah.
And you've gone to places that Leadpages hasn't gone to yet.
Not yet. Yep.
And I think from you, I hear lots of wisdom about avoiding things maybe that you've seen in other places. How many companies have you started thus far?
5. So Drift is my 5th company.
Wow.
Yeah. But I've been a part of 3 others, kind of the formation of 3 or 4 others. Yeah.
You've earned those gray.
Yeah, those gray hairs. Those are earned. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, having built a relationship with you, and you've met our team and our board. When you think about a SaaS business that's $25 million in annual recurring revenue, about 175 people, has a second product.
Yeah.
What are some of the, I guess in the spirit of being transparent, what are some of the challenges that you see at this phase of the business, and what do you think are some of the things we need to be thinking about?
Yeah, a bunch of stuff. I'd say right around that head count, you're getting past, you're getting to the point, one of the biggest breaking points ever, like that 150 count always seems to be the biggest one. I don't know if it's because of the Dunbar number or what have you, but that's the big breaking point, and so things start to break there. I think same thing around that revenue size. It's kind of an inflection point. Like you need something different to get you to the next level, right? It's your first stepping stone. Yeah. And I think the third thing is like you're getting to the point where you have enough of a existing team that you need to fight the feeling of nostalgia. Yeah. And I think that is hard because everyone's remembering like, oh, it was so awesome when we were 50. We were 5 and we were like in Clay's apartment or whatever, or there was 10 of us or whatever the number is. Everyone has a different number.
Yep.
They have this nostalgic feeling that they want to bring back, and you've got to keep morphing the team and organization to be focused on kind of the future, right? Yeah. And like that it's going to be different, and that it has to be different, and that things have to break. And we have to push things to break because that'll show us where the weak spots are and where we need to focus on shoring them up, and then something will break again and it'll break again. And that's easy to say, but it's hard to get 150 people kind of wrapped around that. And so I think all those things happen at this kind of magic phase. And this is like the phase of plateau, or you hit that next inflection point.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
So one of the things I love about you and what you talk about is when I think of you, I think of 2 big things.
Yeah, what are they?
is you hate dichotomies.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Or like these sort of either or things. So people always like, quantity or quality.
Yes.
You got to choose one.
Both.
No,
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or like, do you want speed or do you want availability or, whatever. But the second thing that I think of when I think about you is this real emphasis on engaging with the market.
Yep.
Everyone needs to talk to the customer. Engineers need to talk to the customer. Marketing, support.
Yep.
Like a lot of those folks are doing it anyway. But I think when companies are small, outside the building is more salient than inside the building. Right? It's almost like you're a team of warriors and you're in a circle and you're facing outside. Right?
Yeah.
But then as you get bigger, you have all these coordination problems, and this person needs this, and you're sitting next to these people.
Most of your time focused inside.
Right. So,
internally.
So I think that's another thing to fight, is making sure that outside the building stays more salient than inside the building. So in software development, there's this thing called the Joel test.
Yep.
And I've got some of the questions here. Like one of them is,
and that's Joel Spolsky.
Yeah, right? Joel Spolsky from Fog Creek Software.
Yeah,
created
and Trello. Yeah.
Yep. So one of the questions are like, do you source control? Can you make a build in one step? Do you do daily builds, right? And so these are like ones or zeros. You either pass or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And something I always get from when you talk is this real emphasis on, are you doing the are you not? Are you engaging with customers? Are you not? And there's lots of lip service. There's lots of gesticulating. There's lots of hand waving around, talking to customers. But very few people actually do it. I think to the level that you talk about. So when we were having dinner last night, I was like, we need a David test. What's the David test?
The DC test.
The DC test. So what is it? What would you put
I actually
on that
wrote
for
some
product?
stuff down, which is unusual. I never write anything down. But I thought this was a great thing to do because I'm always talking to these points, right? And I'm always bringing them up within my team and within other companies that I'm a part of. And but I've never written them down, and writing them down is this key to scaling it, right? Or else you have to do this one-to-one kind of teaching, which I do love. And so I think for me, everyone talks about like being customer focused, like that's especially nowadays. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, we're customer centered, we're customer driven, we're customer. But that's not, when you dig under the surface, it's not actually true, right? Like everyone says that because it's a nice thing to say. Who wouldn't want to be customer focused, right? And so I created this list of like Joel did, these kind of yes/no questions, and I think the most important one is like, do your engineers talk to customers, right? Do they do that weekly? Yes, no.
Yes,
right?
no.
Yeah.
Do your engineers talk to customers weekly?
Yeah. Yes,
no.
no.
Okay, let's dig in because there's so much obfuscation. This can get confounded, perverted. Okay, is it asynchronous or synchronous? Is it live? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Chat? Does it have to be voice? Is
it could
follow
be
me home?
it could be chat. It can be voice. It can be in person. It can be
Facebook groups.
Facebook group. It can be anything. It's just
Okay.
like, are they in communication weekly with your customers?
So is every single engineer in communication at least one touch point per week with a customer?
Definitely.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. Yes or
so
no?
that's yes or no.
Okay.
And then, do you ship daily builds to your customers? Yes, no.
Okay.
Right. So are you shipping? Not are you just shipping, but are you shipping to the customers? Like, can the customers touch it every day?
Okay, so not as just like some API backend infrastructure, but
Can they
customer
experience
visible.
it? Yeah. Something has changed in the life of the customer? Are you doing that every day? Yes,
Wow.
no. Right. That's a high bar.
That is.
Do you do customer usability testing 2 to 4 times per month? Right. Ideally, you're doing it 4 times per month, so every single week for each of your product teams. Right.
Okay.
So that means that doing usability testing on new product features, either in person or over video.
Okay.
And they're doing that ideally weekly, worst case every 2 weeks.
Now, does that need to be live, or is that just like record a video of you using this?
That's live.
Okay.
So yeah, that's live testing. So you basically have a prototype, you have an existing thing that you're testing, you have an idea or concept or mock-up,
Okay.
and you're testing that with some subset of customers, right? It
Awesome.
can be 1, it could be 10, it could be 50, it could be 100.
How? What is the fidelity of the what you're asking questions about need to be? Can it just be like a sketch on a piece of paper that you're showing, or does it need to be mock-ups, wireframes, like
I
simulated?
always drive to high fidelity mock-ups, right?
Okay.
So you can put them in a tool like InVision or some other tool, but like it has to look like the real thing, right? Even if it's one screen. And the reason that I push towards that and not sketches or written documents is like there's too much room for interpretation, especially for a customer who doesn't really understand how you build products, right? And so like then you get into a case of like, well, I thought you meant this, and you thought I meant this, and then there's total disconnect. So you want the actual thing. Do you want this mug? Yes, no. And it looks like this. It only comes in this color. Yes, no.
Would you buy it?
Would you buy it? Yeah. Not talk about the qualities of a mug and how great a mug is, and do you want a mug in your life?
Do you like conceptually?
Yeah.
Are
do you want a mug
jiggy
in your
with
life?
mugs?
Yeah. Are you good with mugs? No. This mug. Will you buy this when I make this mug? Right. And so like that's important. Do your engineers handle the daily project management work? Right. Or yes, no? Or is it something that your PMs do or someone else does that for the engineers, right? And what I want to happen is I want the engineers to have the accountability, also the autonomy of deciding day by day what they're actually working on as an engineering team, and that not being something that's someone else is doing for them. So I don't want enabling of the engineers.
No, it seems like that responsibility / privilege is tied to the first one.
Yes.
Where are they talking to customers
Definitely.
on a
It won't
weekly
work
basis?
otherwise, right? If you don't do the first one, then this definitely won't work because they'll just create lots of stuff that doesn't matter to the customer.
Yeah.
So like the number one thing is the primary guardrail. Nothing else in the system works unless that is happening, right?
So in that system, what is the role of a product person? So engineers are
question.
deciding
Yeah.
they need to be a charismatic leader who's persuasive, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
ultimately they don't get to decide, or how does
No?
that
So
work?
that leads to my next thing.
Okay.
Do your PMs and designers work together to test future initiatives before they get into the engineering schedule? So that is the job of the PM and the designer. They're working together not on the stuff that's being worked on today.
Yep.
They're working on the stuff that potentially could be worked on tomorrow or next month or next year, and they're doing that with customers.
Wow.
Right? So they do that ahead of the engineers.
So what do you think a good product leader, how much time are they spending on day-to-day management versus forward thinking in the future?
I try to coach all the PMs and the product leaders to be spending like most of the time, 80% plus of their time on the future stuff, very little on the day-to-day, and we try to move that day-to-day towards the engineers.
Nice.
So that they have that accountability of what's happening every day.
So 80-20,
Yeah.
maybe there's a little question, like what is this button
Definitely,
really intended to do? But
and
most
little
of the time,
revisions that are happening on an existing thing once it gets into the engineering schedule, definitely designers and PMs are helping on the little stuff, but they're not micromanaging, or babying the engineers.
awesome, love it.
All right, this is number 6. Do engineering and support/sales, so your support and sales teams, work together and publish a transparent kind of way or accounting of what they're doing together. So what I'm trying to do is get engineering to partner with sales and partner with support if you have sales in your company, and them have a way to track what they're working on together. And so that's the way that those two groups are your internal customers.
Yep.
And so they're a proxy for some of the stuff you're hearing from customers that might not be coming up on user testing. And are you working together, and do we talk about that in a transparent way that everyone in the company knows what's happening?
Nice.
So the real simple example is like support issues. So like are each product engineering team working with support on the top issues for their product, their initiative? And are we tracking kind of the change in those support issues month over month publicly with the company, right?
Nice.
So that they know we're listening to support and sales, right?
Awesome.
All right, and then are all engineers, and this one's controversial, so all engineers working on a customer-facing product, right? And so like it's controversial because most engineering teams want to create infrastructure or back-end teams or shared API teams or what have you that are not exposed to the end customer.
Yep.
And what I try to orient is that every engineering team do that, but they also have to be working on a customer-facing product, right? And that is to have the guardrails again.
So that's about sort of following the value chain all the way from the back end
Yes.
to how it's manifesting to
Totally.
the customer. You can't
Yeah.
have some siloed, insulated team
Yeah.
that's just doing some back end whatnot. They need to like follow that implementation in the front end. So if they're working on a back end integration, they're also working on the interface for that integration, how that integration
Manifest
shows
itself.
up too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because if you don't, then you have to get back to the old school way of doing things of micromanaging that infrastructure team because there's no check in the system, right? The customer's gone from the equation, so there's no way to check that system.
Yep.
And so I try to have that top
And
to
then you're just
bottom.
playing telephone. You're
Yes.
just like someone said this, and
Totally.
you're like, what?
And you're back to the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost done. Did you replace your internal engineering metrics, which are things like dates, versions, points, velocity, what have you, with customer metrics? So you should only be giving your engineering and product team credit for customer-facing metric changes, and those examples of those are adoption, revenue, churn, NPS, issues. Right, those are customer impacting metrics, and we should never talk about those other metrics.
like customer success metrics. Like
Yes.
for us, it would be number of opt-ins, sales that are coming through, page views,
Totally.
things like that.
And per product, right?
Yep.
If you have 2 products, let's say drip and lead pages, like each of those are being measured on those metrics and only those metrics. And response time and uptime and all that stuff, that's a customer metric as well in my book, but you're not looking at releases and version numbers and all this
Those are
other
table stakes,
Those
right?
are table stakes.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to talk about those. Okay, and then do you rotate your engineers into support? Something I believe a lot in. So all of us, actually everyone at Drift, when they start, they all have a support shift, right? They have, every week they have some number of hours that they do in support until they get to a special graduated state.
Yep.
And then they don't have to do it every week, but we put engineers in that rotation kind of forever,
Yeah.
right? And then last one, do you celebrate customer-facing releases within your company every week or every month, right? It's important to have that kind of cadence that you're celebrating these big customer-facing releases from a software standpoint internally. And we do it every week. In the past, I've done it every month, but that's basically another way to communicate internally what is happening, how we're impacting the customer.
Awesome.
So those are my tests.
I dig it. What was the second to last one?
It was, do you rotate engineers into support?
Oh, right. Yeah. I think that's so important. I remember once when our new builder came out, I was at a release thing and someone was talking about how they'd like optimized the speed of the color picker.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, if you were in support every day, you would be seeing that this is not probably what's top of mind. And then later that person started engaging in our Facebook group, and the little discretionary time that everyone has to kind of work on their pet peeve project ended up being what the customer was talking about rather than
the color picker.
Rather than the color picker.
Which is a cool, neat, geeky thing to work on, but like maybe no one cares. No one gets that far. Right? That's awesome.
David, thank you so much for saying yes to joining our board. We're so excited to have you here. Let's get some shout outs. Guys, we use Drift. We love it here. We've gotten a 36% increase in conversion as a result of using your tool. There's a cool case study on the Drift website.
Thank you for doing that.
Let's link that up in the show notes. And then you've got your conference that's coming up, right?
Yep.
Hypergrowth, September 25th?
That's right. Hypergrowth, September 25th. We'll do a promo code, Lead Pages, right?
Awesome.
So enter Lead Pages, one word, and we'll give you a special ticket to come. And we'll have, we just upped the goal. So we're supposed to have 1,000 people. This morning we just upped the goal. 1,000 people in Boston, September 25th. We just upped the goal to 1,400.
Holy crap. Wow.
So it's going to be awesome. It's marketing and sales. It's all marketing and sales people there. And then we have speakers who are in marketing as well as speakers who are kind of in personal growth, which is what we talk about. We don't separate it. So we have people in fitness and from a military background, meditation, all sorts of things. So we believe in growing in all dimensions.
That's awesome.
So hopefully you can join us.
This episode of Conversion Cast is brought to you by Converted, the nation's premier marketing conference from the team at Lead Pages and Drip. Join us for 2 days of networking, fun, and education, where you'll learn proven conversion marketing campaigns from 15 of the best marketing minds in the business. Speakers include Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income, Joanna Wiebe from Copy Hackers, Lead Pages' very own Clay Collins, podcaster and filmmaker Kevin Smith, and many more. And starting now, use the offer code SAVE200 at checkout to take a full $200 off any ticket you purchase. We hope you'll join us at Converted, October 17th and 18th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Get your tickets today at converted.com.